Hello everyone and welcome to Veterans in Crisis podcast. Today we have Jim Owen from Operation Veteran. Jim's been on the podcast before, but he's got some exciting news about Operation Veteran's new HQ in North Shields. You all right, Jim?
Yes, mate. Nice to speak to you again.
I mean, we were supposed to talk last week, weren't we, Jim?
Yeah, you can. You need to get your technology sorted out, Jerry.
So I think what happened there, Jim, was you needed a grown-up to sort it out for you, didn't you?
I actually got a youngster to sort it out.
We're just going to tell everyone you're not lying on the floor with your phone up in the air, right? Because that's what it looks like.
This is actually nice Wayfair wallpaper.
Probably looks like you're mentally lying on the floor there now. So, mate, I asked you on. Really, I wanted you to come on to promote your grand opening. Obviously, with this disease that's flying around, once again, everything's been stopped. So, do you want to describe to everyone where Operation Veterans HQ is and what's it all about?
Basically, we're in North Shields. We're on Nile Street in North Shields, and downstairs we have a coffee shop which is going to be open to the general public, and upstairs we've got the Veterans Centre. So very much in the sort of vein of what you do, Jer. We're going to be running groups, hubs, breakfast clubs, events and activities. We're looking to set up a befriending service for elderly and isolated veterans, and looking at what we can do with the current climate with this disease around, as and when, you know, we're allowed to do it again. The problem for me at the moment is with, it's not a problem, but same as everybody else, is not really knowing what's going on from one day to the next. You know, you start planning ahead and then all of a sudden they bring in different rules and, you know, it's up in the air again. So when COVID started, we were running breakfast clubs, as you know, and groups out of the Exchange and out of the YMCA North Shields. However, those venues, it became very apparent because we've got a lot of elderly and sort of vulnerable veterans, those venues weren't suitable anymore. And we had an opportunity to come in here and we had a look at the premises, and it was more the potential because it's huge inside upstairs, and downstairs was the old vintage tea room. So it needed a lot doing to it, and we were lucky enough at that time to find this place, and at the same time we were allocated £8,750 by the chair of North Tyne Council, as she picked us as one of the two charities of the year, the other one being the North East Air Ambulance, where they would support us and they would raise money for us. So she gave us that money and that allowed us to get in here. And over the past 3 months, we've had, the place has been done right through by veterans. So we've put new lighting in, put new heating in, we've cleaned all the carpets, cleaned all the furniture, decorated it from end to end. And we've got quite a nice little centre now, or quite a nice big centre now. The launch was supposed to be last week. We're launching the Veterans Centre last week. And on Tuesday, we had a buffet booked and we were going to have the business launch at 1 o'clock and then the Veterans launch at 2:30. And what happened was, again, they pulled the plug and we went to the rule of 6. So we had to cancel the launch and everything else. So at the moment, a bit probably like yourself, we're looking at trying to figure out how we can manage and how we can get people in and keep within guidelines and keep everybody safe and do the right thing, mate. But that's where we're at the moment. We're speaking to different organisations, how we can work in partnership with Age UK and local organisations at Cedarwood to see how we can make sure that should we go to lockdown again, that we've got food supplies in place, we've got contact with the community, we can support the veterans who are isolated and maybe, as you probably did during lockdown, we would provide people gas and electric, we bought people microwaves, we bought food for people. We just generally supported veterans and contacted them every week and made sure everybody was okay. So that's about where we're at the moment.
That is the main thing, isn't it? Just to ring people or be in some sort of contact with veterans, because the worrying part when we first lockdown was we actually just started to get everyone to stop being socially isolated, and then to take that away from them, it seemed cruel. You know, it really did seem cruel. So we did things like WhatsApp groups, messenger groups, things like Zoom. You know,
yeah.
This cannot be the new way of working, though. It just, you know,
we're social
unnecessary
animals.
evil, isn't it?
We're social animals, and people need to be around other people. And you know yourself, a lot of our clients, a lot of our client group, as you say, were socially isolated anyway. They'd retreated into themselves. I know from my own background, I spent a lot of time sitting in bed sits by myself, didn't want to go out, sitting drinking myself to death years and years ago. And it's building up people's confidence and self-esteem, getting them to come along to the groups, getting them involved in events and activities, getting them just being normal human beings again. And we had this conversation this morning with Age UK, much the same sort of thing. You're looking to get lonely and isolated and socially isolated people out into the community and get them involved in different groups and whatever you're doing. And now all of a sudden we're saying to them, right, shut down, go back to what you were doing before and sit in the house before. And as we've discussed in the past, the suicide rate amongst veterans is horrendous, right across the country. If this was any other, if it was teachers or doctors or nurses or any other profession, there would be a national outroar about it. But what I'm also concerned about is the veterans that are sitting either doing drugs or drink, more likely drink, that are sitting by themselves, drinking themselves to death. Nobody's counting that, nobody's registering that, it's not being observed anywhere, it's not being referred to anywhere. If we can get them away from doing what they were doing before and come and get them into our groups and what we do, it at least gives them a chance to get the support that they need. So they're out, and they might talk to one of their mates. A mate might say, well, ask Jim or ask one of the volunteers or ask one of the staff, and then we can get them the help and support we need. But trying to just speak to people over Zoom, or especially if there's other people watching, they won't open up. How's it going? Oh, everything's fine. Yeah, no bother at all. But you don't know what's going on in their heads, so
it's really sad. I mean, the whole of lockdown's sad anyway, isn't it? I mean, it is for anybody. I mean, it's really pissing me off, to be honest. Every time I get something organised, it gets cancelled. Even that, not just for Vix, but in my private life. Anything I've tried to do this year, just been cancelled. So
how are you managing to have a private life?
Yeah, I tell you, man, I think you need one. I tell you, when you do this 24/7, you need to have a private life. I like to get away on the weekend and get my caravan and dine out, gone walking. I've been doing a lot of gorge walking with the barn and just something completely different where I don't have to think, other than don't drown. That's the only thing I have to think.
For me, as daft as it sounds, because I'm on Tynemouth Market every weekend, and although it's part of the business because we're raising funds for the business, it's also been my hobby for 20 years, antiques and collectibles. So I can go down there and banter on with the customers and sell a few bits and bobs and sort of make a bit of a living out of it. But that's my escapism. That's how, because I don't need to think about it. I can just go down there and just do what I do and just be myself.
That's
and
a bit that's like a social occasion for you, isn't it? Because you don't drink now, do you?
No, I haven't had drink for 20 years, 21 years.
So that's your social activity.
Well, one of my big social activities was, and everybody takes the mickey, was the dancing and taking up the Argentine tango.
No one takes the mickey about that, man. You in the RAF? That's exactly what everyone expected from you.
Is it because I was dancing with women, Jer? Is that what it is?
We're fucking shocked.
Well, I'd taken up dancing. I'd taken up the Argentine tango a couple of years ago, and it's something that I really fallen in love with. And I'm going 2 or 3 times a week. And now, obviously, we're not allowed to dance anymore. So that, as you say, it takes your social life away. So what I'm tending to do now, a bit like you probably were a year ago, and even if you still are, is it's just work. It's 6-7 days a week. And even when I'm at home, my phone's going, the emails are going, I'm thinking about work, and there's been a lot more to setting up this centre than I realised, because as you know yourself, when you move into a building, you think, oh yeah, looks great. And then you open a door and something goes wrong, and then that leads to something else, I think we've had the boiler fixed 6 times. And we finally got the radiators fixed, and now we've got heating in the centre. It's like a brave new world, and getting the lights done, getting the carpets done, getting this done, getting that done. And so it's been bit by bit by bit, and it's been 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And in the meantime, you're still trying to work with veterans, bring funding in, do all your paperwork, do your accounts, do your market and everything else. And sometimes it does get a bit on top, but you just got to take a step back now and again and say, right, okay, let's be objective, let's put it in perspective. And it's great now that it's come together. The centre is looking fabulous. We've got a big centre and we're only allowed to have 6 people in. So it's just thinking, how can we do this and how best can we do this? But the important thing for me is that we maintain contact with our veterans who are coming along. A lot of them, as I say, were elderly, sitting on their own, or got ongoing health problems or issues, and just maintaining that contact with them every week, making sure that they're okay, they don't need anything, and letting them feel as though that there's other human beings out there. And I've got a private Facebook book as well, where they can all just go in there and talk to each other. So they form peer support networks and stuff like that. And a lot of them have found new mates when they've been coming along to our groups and getting involved in what we're doing. So the important thing is keeping an eye on the emergencies that are going on out there and maintaining what we're doing and just trying to keep the doors open.
People don't realise, or I didn't realise actually, when you get a building, the building needs managing as well. You know, it wasn't really a thing I thought about, you know, because you think the people inside it need managing, the clients, the staff, but the whole thing about the building, I mean, make sure you pay the rent, you've got the things that need fixing, you know, and a simple thing like the computers, the laptops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We wanted something different doing, and it's taken fucking ages. Like, you know what I mean? I'm no good at anything like that, so we pay people to do it, but the process we'll go through, it's a long process. Now, I'm just trying to get things done really quickly, but you just kind of rush everything. Things have got to be done properly, and that's a kind of thing that it annoys us that I can't get stuff done quicker, because then I want to move on to something else, you know, and
like
IT is just not my forte, like.
Well, like say yesterday, I came in and I had the day all set out. Right, this is what I'm going to do. I had my diary full, and I come in and I've had a letter arrived saying that when we got in here, I changed over the gas and electric service providers to the cheapest one I could get, and it was all straightforward. I sent off all the meter readings and everything like that, and changed over, and the come put smart meters in, and then I get 2 bills off what was the service provider in here, and I had to contact, because the bills were just way out of they're charging me, I think, £111 for gas over 4 weeks, and the boiler wasn't working, so we never had any bloody gas. So I spent an hour on the phone to them trying to sort that out, and then my new service provider come in and they're trying to bill me for stuff that I hadn't had. So 2.5 hours on the phone yesterday and on the internet, just trying to sort out gas and electric bills. And we got it all sorted out, but it's like you say, you know, it needs managing, and it's stuff that you hadn't thought about. And you think yourself, you get a building, open the doors, and that's it. But like you say, yeah, you know, you've got your rent, you've got your utilities. I spent another hour on the phone because I've got the employer's liability and the public liability, the combined liabilities they call it now. That needs renewing at the end of the month. So I spent another hour on the phone trying to sort that out yesterday, because we've got new premises, I've now got staff and we've got volunteers and everything else. So obviously they're looking to bump up the price. So I'm obviously trying to get the cheapest price for the business, for the charity, and make sure that we're doing everything, and I've ticked all the boxes and that everything's done properly. So it's that building maintenance, the building management, the property management, and the staff management, the volunteer management, plus all the paperwork and admin that goes with it, and then your events and activities and everything else that you've got to do. So you really need 2 of us or 3 of us doing all the same job at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky, because I've been going, and over the year we've been in the building, I've sort of delegated things to the staff, and volunteers, and that's made it easier for us. But you always really, it's in your mind, isn't it? It's not that you've delegated it, but it's still in your mind. I tell you what happened to me when we took over the building. Steve from Springboard, we got our picture taken, shaking hands, right? And it was at Springboard's office. Now, the next day, I got a phone call, and it says, "Yeah, hi, your new premises." And I was like, "All right." I says, "Well, you've got to do your gas and electric through us," right? And I was like, "All right," because obviously I thought Steve from Springboard had organised it, right? And then put the phone down, and then I thought, well, that can't be right. So I got another phone call of a different company. It says, "Oh, you've got to get your thingy for your new premises." And what had happened was they'd just seen on Facebook, right, me shaking hands saying we'll get the new premises, but they would try and charge us for Springboard's building, like their main office. That's how I worked it out, because they said the postcode, and I was like, "That's not my postcode." Like, he said, "Yeah, it is of your new office," and I was like, "It's not." And they must scour Facebook.
Oh, I think once you've registered on social media, and once you've registered on the databases and that sort of thing, it just comes up. I get phone call after phone call from all over the country, and usually they've got the wrong address and stuff like that. But what they're trying to do, and they're saying to you, we notice that you're still with the old service provider and you haven't moved to the new one yet. And I'm like, yeah, I have. Well, it's not on this database, and can we just interest you in this? So everybody's trying to sell you something. And somebody did mention this to me. When you do take over your building, you're going to get a lot of phone calls of people trying to sell you stuff, and especially gas and electric and everything. But it just takes up the little things that are the unforeseen things take up so much of your time that you want to be doing something else, or you've got a meeting booked in, or you've got something coming up, or you've got a deadline to hit, or you've got somewhere to go to, or you've got people coming into the building, and I'm sitting here doing paperwork, trying to talk to people, and they're walking around having meetings or whatever. And you're like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But bit by bit, you're right, it's settling down. And now I've got a staff member downstairs full time, and she's just going to run the cafe, and that's taken or the coffee shop. That's taken a big weight off my mind. She's got a 20 years background in running cafes and coffee shops and stuff like that. So she's saying to me, right, I need this, I need that, I need that, and that. I'm just like, just give me the bill. Just go online, order it, give me the bill, I'll get it paid. And at least I know it's been done professionally and properly. But at one point, it was going to be me and a volunteer going in there and trying to do it. And bloody hell, I was like, what a nightmare that would have been. So bit by bit, things are settling down and allowing me to get things done. But we're still looking to, if we're in lockdown for the next 6 months, what can we do? So we're talking about it this morning. We had a couple of meetings about it this morning, and we're thinking we continue with the befriending service. We look at, because we've got so much space, I can have so many people come in at a time. So I can organise various hubs where they come in, they stay social distance, but I have to be very strict on the numbers that are coming in. But it goes back to that where we were getting people coming in for the first or second time, sitting there quiet, and you're managing to bring them out of themselves. How do we do that? If they're because they're wanting to come in with their mates. Well, can I not come in with so-and-so? Can I come in with so-and-so? But they're not available, and I don't, want to. So it's trying to keep everybody happy, mate. And I don't think you can.
It's impossible, mate. It's impossible. I've tried, and it's impossible to get everyone happy, even yourself. It's just too hard, and it doesn't help that it changes every 5 minutes, because you organise something, and then one day this is what's happening. So you think, right, so you sort of change things around to fit that criteria. And then by the time you start whatever you were doing the next day, it's changed again. So, it's the same for everyone. It's not just us, but it's just chaos, really, isn't it? Absolute chaos.
I got told this morning that obviously the local restrictions are different to the national restrictions, and the local restrictions take precedence over the national restrictions. So you've got to make sure that you follow the national restrictions and the local restrictions. And I was speaking to manager around at the YMCA yesterday, and he says to me, so have you got your QR code on? And I went, what? And he says, if you've got a public building, he says, you need to have a QR code. He says, and that's got to be printed out and displayed, otherwise you can be fined. And I went, didn't know anything about it. He said, well, actually, he says, I have through word of mouth as well. And you just go online, you go on Gov.uk, QR code, download it a little bit, and it's dead simple to do, and we've got it laminated, got it up, but I wouldn't have known anything about it yet. It's because it's, as you say, it's constantly changing, and everybody's coming in with their own opinion of it, and it's the same with this disease, if you want to call it that, and this virus that's going around. Everybody's got their own opinion on. Again, we were talking about that this morning. Some people are terrified of it. Other people are quite blasé about it. Other people are we've just got to get on with our lives and live with it. But you've got to try and respect everybody. As your position as a chief exec, you've got to make sure that everybody's respected, that the frightened ones are looked after, and the ones that are blasé aren't getting too close and stuff like that. So it's with me, with the new premises and the new coffee shop, I'm allowed so many people in. I've got to keep them socially distanced, and they have to be served at the table, and I've got to sanitize their hands, and then we've got to clean the tables afterwards and everything. And we can't do takeaway service, or we can if they come in and sit down. And I'm thinking, how do we make this work? And especially when you're paying a member of staff, you're buying stock. I've just bought a new coffee machine, brand new barista machine, and all this stuff has to be paid for. So we're looking at what's the break even going to be, how can we hit that number, how can we get people in and keep everybody safe and everybody happy and make sure they're getting a good quality product and a good service. Because I don't want it to be your typical sort of community cafe, as I've seen some other organisations do, where everybody just comes in and spends all day sitting talking to their mates. It's a coffee shop which is open to the general public, so everything has to be done properly. You know, upstairs is a veteran centre, and we want to make people welcome in here. But again, they've got to feel safe and secure and make sure that we're following all the guidelines. And you know yourself, you're always going to get one or two that say, I'm not bothered and I don't care. But in the position that we're in, we can be closed down. The governments can just, or the local councils can just walk in now and say, that's it, close your doors. You're not COVID secure. You're not following the guidelines. So unfortunately, we've just got to go. Yeah, I think you have to be hard about it, mate. You know, we've just got to say these are the rules, and that's it. You know.
Yeah. What is the amount of people you're allowed in your coffee shop then?
I can have 10 people in at any given time,
including the staff.
No, the staff are separate.
Right.
I can have 10 people sitting down, one person out on the shop floor taking the orders and getting the bills paid and everything, and the other person behind the counter doing the cakes. And we won't be cooking anything. It'll be just heating pastries up and doing basic, you know, cakes and biscuits and crisps and all that. And as I've learned now, the difference between lattes and cappuccinos and Americanos, and I didn't know, because I'm not a coffee drinker.
No, I'm not.
The matcha, or the mocha, it's called. I call it the matcha, so they're all taking the piss. Everybody's so if I ask for a matcha now, they know exactly what I want. It's just a coffee with hot chocolate, basically. So we're going to be offering all of them, but it's getting your price point right and making sure that, you know, you're not trying to be too clever, and the good quality product, as I say, to keep people coming back in, because that will provide us eventually a revenue back into the Veterans Centre. And all profits or surpluses will feed back into us, so that we can then help to run our events and activities, you know. Because, as you know, as a community interest company, we have to have a trading arm. And the antiques and collectibles, which got us off the ground in the first place, I was at Tynemouth Market at the weekend and it was empty. But they've now said that you're only allowed essential travel on public transport, where last week it was get out on public transport, don't use the roads. So now it's only essential travel, and people can be stopped and asked whether you're going to work or is it a necessary journey. So nobody was getting the metro down to the station. So we stood there all day at the weekend and probably made about 20 quid profit, which when you're up at 5 in the morning, not getting into 6 at night, you know, it's a long day for 20 quid. But it's something we have to maintain because it's part of what we do, and eventually it will, with Christmas coming up, the market will pick up again, as people get more confidence and come back out again. But again, this toilet roll thing, what's that all about? Why are people doing this?
Nobody had the shits this time, did they? I don't know why. I honestly don't know why people are so worried about the toilet roll. It's mental, isn't it? It is absolutely mental. People, you know, if people were stockpiling pasta and stuff because there's going to be no food, but toilet roll. This is the problem, where people just stop panicking and just, you know, the media is to blame for a lot of it because they hype people up. You know,
Yeah.
I think it is anyway. I mean, we're lucky enough to still have toilet roll from the last time, because when the Hilton closed, they give us all the toilet roll.
You up on it, yeah.
They did. They give us for no reason, right? Because it wasn't going to go off, was it? They just says, "Oh, you can have all the toilet roll." Which you know, the Hilton in Sunderland, which is brilliant of them. You know, they give us loads of food out the freezer. They give us all sorts. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So, you know, you're renting your building, and you know what I'm going through now, trying to buy the building. Is that something that you're going to aim towards?
Not this building, mate. I think it's, although it's lovely inside, it's an old building, and for me to try and buy this building, I think we would need to spend, even if we got it cheap, we would need to spend a similar amount doing it up. It needs re-rendering totally, it needs new roof on and stuff like that. Although it's warm, it's secure, it's safe, it's you know, it's what they've done inside is they've put false ceilings inside, so we would need to take all them out and redo all the ceilings and everything. So for me, it would probably, even if I got the building for a reasonable price, and I don't know what it would go for because we've actually got 4 premises, but downstairs in the shop next door to us, the health and beauty shop, that is part of the premises, but she's renting that out from them. So I think I'm pretty sure, because we got it through an agent around the corner, but I'm pretty sure the actual landlord itself is an investment organisation. So I think they've got, you know, properties all over the country. So I don't know if we would get the opportunity to buy, even if we could. And if we did, I think we would need to spend the same amount of money buying it as in doing it up, you know, which again, you know, for a small community interest company or a charity is going to be a lot of funding. I mean, we've spent so far, I think, around about 10 grand getting to where we are at the moment. And we were lucky to be in a position to be able to do that. We had the funds available. We've had and the veterans have provided all labour for nothing. Local community have been absolutely brilliant. I mean, Tynemouth decorators came in and they got us all with paint at trade price. He got a mate of his, John Lennox, to come in and do the flooring for us. He did it at cost. We had a guy come up from Doncaster, and he was a heating and plumbing engineer. And he brought all the radiators up, and we just paid for the radiators. And him and his lad spent all day putting all the radiators and the new heating system in for us. So, and then we had a lad walked in the door the other day from North Shields Football Club and handed us a bucket with 140 quid in. We had a whip round for you. Thanks very much. So without the local community and the backing of North Tyne Council and everything else, we wouldn't be in a position that we're in. So it's been a great, not just veteran effort, but it's been a great effort from the community to support Armed Forces veterans, which we're very, very keen, as you are, on continually promoting this and integrating people back into the community. So one of the things that we are looking at is, once this is sort of settled down, what became very apparent, I don't know about yourself with your renovation, was the skill set that a lot of the veterans had got. All of a sudden, out of the blue, people I'm sitting talking to in groups are telling me that they're builders, or they're painters and decorators, or the heating and plumbing engineers, or they're this or that or the other. So they've come in, and from end to end, they've done all the work for nothing, because it's their centre, essentially. And I'm pleased about that. If I'd got a team of professionals in to do it and just paid them to do it, they would have been walking into a centre they'd had nothing to do with. But now they feel as though it's their centre, and everybody's got to treat it with respect. Because when they come in, well, I've spent 4 days painting that, you know, I'm not going to have you coming in disrespecting or treating it like rubbish. And they feel confident and comfortable to just walk in the door because they're part and parcel of the rebuild, you know. So one of the things that we're looking at is not, I don't want to be one of these organisations we sit back and say, poor us, poor us. I hate self-pity. And I don't think that goes down well with Armed Forces veterans either. I think what we're very, very good at is giving back to our communities. That's what we've done all our lives. That's what we did in the Armed Forces. We protected and looked after our communities. So we're looking at setting up maybe mini DIY SOS teams, and going out. If somebody's got a fence knocked down, we'll go and put it up for them. If a pensioner needs a shed putting up, we'll go and do that for them. So that we get involved with the community and try and give something back. We're also talking to Age UK about how we can work with them on a befriending system. They already have something in place, but like they said to us, they're not experts with veterans, they're experts with old people, and they have a lot of facilities available and information available on like blue badges, on pensions, on benefits, on house, and on everything that people are entitled to, where we can engage the veterans, and we all talk the same language, don't we? Regardless of your Army, Air Force or Navy, we can all talk to each other, and we've all got that common bonding of having been in the Armed Forces. We banter with each other, we take the mickey, we have a carry on. But at the end of the day, we're all Armed Forces veterans. So she's looking for us to engage with the community and help people that are sitting in sheltered housing or care homes or just sitting in a flat by themselves, you know. So if they identify as an Armed Forces veteran to Age UK, and that's just 50 and above, and you're getting there, aren't you? But 50.
Yeah.
So
I'm 50 now, eh? You can come visit. You can come visit me.
I've got to say, you look a lot younger, Jeff. Must be all that training you're doing.
It's the IT, mate. It's the IT.
So it's the haircut and everything. I'm 58 now, and I feel, you know, it's a bit of an affiliation, and a lot of our veterans are sort of over 50. And I never set out to engage that community, but that's the community that's engaged with us. And if they're coming into us with, a lot of them are getting to retirement stage, and then all of a sudden the PTSD is kicking in. You know, they've got a bit of time on their hands, and the previous life is starting to catch up with them again, because they've maybe been working hard all their life, bringing up their families and paying bills and just got on the day-to-day. And I think boredom's the enemy. So, like say yourselves and what Veterans in Crisis do, we're offering them that platform for them to come in and engage with us and sit down with like-minded people, non-judgmental, treat each other with respect, And if they want help and support, great. If they don't, they can just get involved in what we're doing, you know.
That's similar to what we do. We set like a befriending service up. But I mean, with the COVID, that'll be knocked on the head because you're going around people's houses, you know, and older people mightn't have like Zoom and even Messenger and WhatsApp, you know, even that's difficult. So there's a lot of work to be done, I think, from our part into how to get people still involved, to keep people involved. I mean, it's fine we go around and drop stuff at people's doors and have a chat 2 meters away outside, but it's not the same, is it? It's not the
It's
same.
not the same as all sitting around having a brew and having a chat and pulling up the sandbag and swinging the light and everything. But if it's what we can do at the moment, and even if we're making phone calls every week, which we'll continue to do, I think we were engaging with 60 or 70 veterans. We were ringing them and their families, and ringing them every week. And sometimes we had their wives ringing up and saying, will you just have a chat with him? You know, his head's right down. Yeah, no bother at all. And just saying, how's it going? Do you need anything? What are you up to? How are you passing your days? How are you coping? Are you managing all right? And time after time after time, just in conversation, stuff was arising. Oh, well, I haven't got any gas and electric, but I get paid in 3 days. And, well, hang on a minute, you know, meet us somewhere. We'll go and get we'll get this charged up for you, or we'll contact the gas and electric company. And 2 or 3 had said they didn't have food in the house, but it's okay because they get paid next week. And I said to one lad, I said, when's the last time yet? He says, about 4 days ago, Jim. He said, but it's all right. And I went, hang on. I says, we can help, you know, we can support you with that. So we just went straight out and got him food vouchers, went, put them through his door, and he just went and got himself food. And he messaged me back a few hours later, oh, absolutely great, I'm over the moon, you know. But we're also now working with food banks in the local area, working with the Cedar Woods, who have got, they're taking meals out to people. They've done a fabulous job during the long, not just for veterans, but for, you know, local community. But they're not differentiating. They're not saying, well, if it's a veteran, I'm not taking food out. And they're just saying, if somebody's in trouble, we'll take it out. But through those conversations with another guy, didn't have a cooker in his house, and he didn't have a microwave. He just moved into the flat. Stafford paid for him to move into the flat, and he moved in there, and he bought a cooker at Argos, and Argos had said because of COVID they wouldn't deliver it. It went out to an electrician, and the electrician had gone into furlough. So this cooker was sitting somewhere, and this lad sitting with no cooker in his house. So I says to him, what are you doing? He says, well, he says, like we're doing forces, he says, I'm just sticking my kettle on the cooker, he says, and heating up tins of beans and that in the cooker. And I was like, oh my God. So I just went and bought him a microwave. And it was like, I've never seen anybody so grateful in my life to get a blooming microwave, you know. But through those conversations we're having on a weekly basis, like yourself, you know, you're identifying problems and issues, and they're not moaning at you. They're not ringing you up saying, I need this or I need that. It's just, well, hang on a minute, you know, we can help you with that. So it's enabling that identification of problems and issues that we can deal with, or we can get the support with, you know.
That's the way to do it, isn't it? Because you're right, veterans don't seem to be phoning. I mean, you get the odd one who
Yeah.
wants everything, you know. You get veterans that have got money, but they still want everything for now. You know, it's not a perfect world, but you would, in the most, veterans are very proud and they wouldn't ask. You know, you have to force people to have stuff.
Well, like you, with your basic training, you right all the way through your basic training. And in my day, it was always just man up and get on with it, you know. And you don't complain. We do complain. That's what we do. We complain very, very well, but you don't tend to moan about things, and you tend to put up and shut up. And well, I'll be all right for a few days. But if you're sitting in the house with no food for 3 or 4 days, and we've got food out there, and we've got surpluses of food, and organisations like Morrison and ASDA have been very, very generous to the whole community at large, in trying to help people, making sure that people aren't going without. Then if we can identify that and get it out to them, it's no skin off our nose, it's what we do anyway. And that's what you've set up for, and that's what I've set up for, to try and support the community, to try and help them, to try and bring them together, and to offer them a platform to walk in and be able to say, look, I need a bit of support here. Although, as you've just said, they're not great at coming in and asking for help. There's ways and means of identifying, do they need any help? And try not to make it. I had another lad saying that I don't want to take money off the charity because I feel as though I'm taking food out of other people's mouths. And I said, whoa, I said, that's what we're here for. I says, I have a budget for that, you know, and please, you know, and once we'd sort of gone around the houses, he accepted my support, or not my support, the organisation's support. He accepted support, but he still felt a little bit like, you know, he was too proud to come and ask for help, and sooner sit in his house with nothing because I get paid in 3 days, Jim. You know, it's
It's not good,
I've
is
lived
it?
on benefits, mate. I know how hard it is. I know how bad it is, you know.
Right, mate. Are we going to organise a day where I can come through with some of the staff and the volunteers?
You give me a shout, let me know when you're coming, mate, and I'll book it off in the diary, make sure there's nobody else in, and you know, plenty of space, social distance, and we'll get you a nice coffee.
Well, I only drink tea, but you can make them one of them mockers.
Well, the mockers, the mockers are lovely, mate. But the only person that'll have to pay is Sam Neill. I mean, she's
Uh,
going to have to pay, and that's it. You know,
She'll have to pay for all of us, mate. We'll just make her pay for all of
that's
us.
just because she gives you so much abuse on social media,
She
mate.
does, mate. She does. Well, I can live with that. I can live with that. Right, mate. Lovely speaking to you.
And great speaking to you. Good luck for the future, mate. Speak to you
Thanks,
soon.
same to you, mate.